would appear that Chimera Branded got a fantastic showing out of this regional, and is that Vanquish Soul making top cut as well? Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. The St. Petersburg, Missouri regional here has come and gone, and you know, we're classifying these branded Despia decks as Chimera, basically branded-esque piles of cards. But it feels like the package is a little bit more extended out towards the Chimera side of things, but I mean, you're still going through Fallen of Albaz shenanigans at the end of the day. But to see that this is kind of turned into the hip new cool thing, and it is successfully working out here, I think has been a very, very good thing at the end of the day. We also had one Rika Sun Avalon, which actually ended up winning the regional. I actually don't have the list for that. Once again, I can only cover, you know, what info is either made public or, you know, I reach out to the duelists and they, you know, are nice enough to pass it on over. So I don't have anything for you on that. Very unfortunate, but it is what it is. But we do have the Vanquish Soul list here. Now, the Vanquish Soul deck is not playing Revolution Synchron. We have seen Revolution Synchron kind of show up a little bit as a relevant tech choice in some of the builds, but it wasn't anything, I guess, really too crazy to stick around. We also had Mana Diem at the end of the day. I mean, I don't have that list either. Sorry. We do have a Runic for Hire deck, which definitely sparked my interest. And we also have a regular branded Despia deck for you as well. And we also have a 12th place, I kid you not here, Tier Elements Pile. And trust me when I say this, these pile decks are getting more and more interesting. You're playing 60 cards out here without the grass looks greener. And some of the days you just look at these things and you're like, I just want to have some fun. You know, I want to make sure that, you know, if I'm going to this regional, I want to enjoy the environment. I want to make sure that, you know, we can get the best value out of our day. And that's what you're here for. Let's pass on over those deck lists. All right, so this is by far, I think, the standard version of this deck that I've seen. I guess the spiciest thing is the triple Super Poly, but we've seen Super Poly gaining a lot of traction in this format. I mean, especially when you can Super Poly into a Dragon Knight Draco quest on the opponent's turn because, hey, they set up, you know, a Dissipator and a Baron. Congratulations. Or, you know, some sort of Bysteel, some sort of drag. Anything that is you're going to look at and go, yeah, that's a little bit of an annoyance. I need to go ahead and clean that up. No, there can only be one. At this point in time, There Can Only Be One is still an extremely good card. It does bring a lot of value to the meta, but the way that things are looking right now, it's not the spiciest tech choice in the meta, and I agree with that to an extent. It is definitely a good card, but the choices you got to make here, I mean, like, you're obviously going to be main decking a Kaiju. You do play small world targets to make sure you can toggle on up to this. Everything looks pretty standard at the end of the day for this deck. I do like the inclusion of the Nightmare Cerberus and the Nightmare Phoenix down here. You know, I remember back in the day when they would stack up monsters and make Zeus to attack the opponent directly, and you don't really do that anymore. You're dedicating more of your slots to Super Poly to make sure you can cover your matchups and basically try to pressure out the opponent to win the game. And it's going to be the best thing that you can actually do right now in the format. So good stuff. Next up is, you know, it's always Cash Tira something out here. Now this is the thing that caught my attention with this list. So you're telling me here that I can activate Gold Sarcophagus, laugh all the way to the bank after I banish my target, and then birth it on back. Yeah, it's a little bit more work than I think a lot of people might want to dedicate to the deck, but you know what? It's a tech choice. It worked out. Hilariously, by the way. You also see that we are main decking evenly matched here, so you want to make sure that you can put as much pressure on the opponent at the end of the day as you can. I mean, especially if your opponent goes first, does all the Cash Tira things, sets up the Urias Heart, you're like, okay, sure. And you can go ahead and just immediately clean up Aisle 9. Not too bad. And of course, I mean, you've got all the books in the absolute world here to answer anything that the opponent is going to set up that you're going to look at and be like, well, that's a problem. I probably shouldn't leave that sitting around on the field. So overall, yeah, it is another Cash Tira deck at the end of the day, but we're getting saucy down here with setting up for these Zeus targets. All right, what else we got back here? This is our Chimera branded deck. And I mean, is this is really considered all that much of a branded deck at this point in time. Because, I mean, the biggest things you're playing here are, you're not playing the Quem, you're not playing the Blazing Cartesia, you're not playing any of that extra fat that kind of comes along with the deck. You're doing all the Berfelmet shenanigans here, but you're just, okay, we got Fallen of Albaz splashed on into the deck, and we're doing our thing. We are playing the Book of Eclipses, because why would we not play the natural predator of the metagame? Down here in the extra deck, I mean, you're on one big Chimera, two little Chimeras. This is fine. And then, of course, you play Magnum the Reliever. This card is actually pretty insane in this deck. Mangdong here has done a whole lot of work for a lot of the metagame. Honestly, outside of that, I really do recommend giving this build a shot. Obviously, the Chimera stuff does tend to go up in value more and more as the days go by. So if you think you're going to get by on something a little bit cheaper, probably not. But, I mean, the fact that it's 3 structured decks plus a little bit of extra value, I think you're still in a pretty good spot in terms of the meta to be able to afford this. I still think that this is by far like what innovation looks like right now. Next up here is our Sprite Runic deck, with, of course, one Herald of the Abyss here. Purely is a problem right now. You need to find as much of an answer as you can to try to clean this up. And I mean, you're already playing the Runic stuff, so you're going to be filtering through the deck at a very fast rate, all right? And the fact that you are going to be toggling through things as quickly as you are, you do need to have something like, honestly, this in the main deck. The double evenly matched is fine. We're not citing the third. The two is, I don't know. I guess the logic is if you see it some of the time, but not all of the time, you're kind of in a position that it's not really going to matter, or you're going to be in an amazing position either way. And of course, I do see the Nightmare Corruptor Ridley here. We all know how good handing this to the opponent is, especially since, you know, Lingaribo has essentially just disappeared from the format. If you get Nightmare Corruptor Ridley at this point in time and you weren't prepared for it, you literally only have yourself to blame. Not much you can do about it. Next up is regular Branded Despia here, and I got to give a shout out to Team Wakanda here, and they have been fantastic. I am always happy to see them representing in the Midwest when I do get the chance to see them at regionals. Man, that takes me back. It's been so long since I've seen them. So yeah, I'm glad to see you guys are still doing fantastic out here, especially with regular Branded. But don't worry, we do have duality in the deck. This is that cute tech choice that you all get to, you know, convert your cool boss monsters into, you know, other cool boss monsters, like the Dragoon, for example, to laugh at the opponent. You get some other cool options. I've seen this deck do some crazy, stupid stuff with duality at the end of the day. So this is kind of like the card that you toss in, you look at your opponent, and you're like, yeah, good luck. There's not really much you're going to be able to do about this at the end of the day. And of course, we do have 2 Herald of the Abyss down here to kind of clean up anything that the opponent might be setting up or we might deem troublesome. All right, and here is our 12th place pile. I see that we are playing the Grisu in here as well with the Orcus package. Now, the reason for the 14 card side deck, they actually forgot to include the 15th at the end of the day. So if you're like, well, you know, could it have made a difference? I mean, it always could have. But they were able to perform with this pile. So 60 cards without the grass looks greener because, you know, it's obviously banned at the end of the day. This is nuts. You have the entire Shaddoll package in here. You can slam going second. You can do World Wand Orcust plays off of your opponent. Actually, the fact that you can Shaddoll Fusion, you know, drop any dark monster that you need to from your deck, you're kind of off to the races. You can drop a tier monster if you need to. This is essentially fusion good stuff, all kind of wrapped up with a nice little bow put on top for you. And of course, yes, we are playing the Needlebug's Nest. The only thing that I could see you can make an argument for here, be like, well, you know, you're playing 60 cards. Like, what in the world has possessed you to do this to yourself? Because, you know, maybe the Needlebug's Nest is going to, you know, do a dead mill or something. But to be honest with you, you should be compressing the deck down by going first. Like, let's look at some of these opening hands. Oh, look, I got Kelbeck with Scream. Okay, well, that's not too bad. We have the Foolish Burial Goods. Well, that's actually pretty decent. Oh, look, if we're going second, we have Paralino and Shaddoll Fusion. Okay. Man, this deck actually, oh my gosh, we got Shayren and, oh, okay, yeah. 3 hands, I've seen everything that I needed to see. I can only imagine how these hands can structure up. Like, this deck seems like it has infinite potential at the end of the day to do something. So, what do you think about this interesting concoction. Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think about this regional, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.